Greetings from Phoenix. I'm Rob Lusher, still a Prairie Art Brother, here to introduce Brad Modlin, our second reader in the Poetry for the Unprecedented series. Brad is the UNK English Department Reynolds Chair in Creative Writing, an engaging scholar and teacher who relishes sharing poetry with students and readers everywhere. He earned his MFA from Bowling Green State and his PhD from Ohio University. He's the author of the Cowles Poetry Prize-winning collection, Everyone at This Party Has Two Names, as well as Surviving in Drought, a short story collection. His poetry, fiction, and creative fiction have appeared in numerous journals, and this year his work has been featured in Welcome to the Neighborhood, an anthology of American coexistence, and on Poetry Unbound, a new series by the On Being Project. He has recently enjoyed the affirmation of poetry books by Maggie Smith, James Cowles, Jericho Brown, and Naomi Shihab Nye. Brad's poems are fresh, imaginative, and perceptive, aiming to readjust our perceptions of the everyday. Through art, he has remarked, he strives to make something good out of something terrible or awkward. I'm pleased to present Brad Modlin.
Hi, thank you for being here, for joining me wherever here is these days in our electronic interactions. And thanks to the Prairie Arts Brothers for putting this together. I'll start with a poem called Still Under That Desk. In my elementary school years, a scientist, a nutso with a clipboard, my dad mistakenly called him, predicted an earthquake, though we lived far from California. Our teacher practiced hiding under our desks with us. Hand over your head, she said, without explaining why. For 10 minutes, we pretended everything would be dangerous until everything would be fine. When writing or reading or putting together a reading, I like to think about kind of when and where we are. And I know that we are in a very unusual time in our human history, and there's a lot of potential for tension, for anxiety. And I like how poetry can be present with us, whatever we're experiencing, and how poetry can be a chance to say, hey, here's this thing that's happening inside of us or around us in our community. And it's also this chance to say, hey, here's another way that it can be. Poetry can give us the chance to say, hey, we're in the middle of anxiety, and also there's peace as well that we can look forward to. And so I had those in mind when I chose the things for tonight. So when I say the things, I mean the poems. So this one is called The Neutron Bomb, Afterward. And I was surprised to come across this idea of a neutron bomb, which is a bomb that is designed so that it can destroy all life and all organic matter, but leave infrastructure in place so that theoretically conquerors can drop a bomb and then move in to the homes and the buildings that are now empty. So this is called The Neutron Bomb, Afterward. Just the rain clouds remember how to move in this city of rotting bird nests and unfinished bottles where you and I are the only living things. Most mornings I watch them alone at the window as they float over streets of emptied taxicabs. You spend whole days asleep. You say you dream of geraniums and mosquitoes, my grandmother, the boy who delivered the daily paper. We are no longer enough for each other. Our words, too, are becoming incomplete. We are afraid one of us will finally voice the question. But haven't we been asking it for generations, demanding explanation for famine, shattered heirlooms, children silenced by ocean floors? And still, for centuries, we have been surprised by sudden deafness, bread knives slipping into thumbs. This poem is sort of in conversation with the previous, and it's sort of the same pair of people. It's called Pupils. Every morning we wake and a plane is crashing. Every morning we wake and a plane is dying of gravity, and sometimes we're the ones on it. Our seatbelts feel loose and I don't know what to do because I was doodling pictures of you when the flight attendant explained about the oxygen masks. I'm grabbing your wrist across the plastic armrest, or I'm frying an egg. Even if it's frantic, the motion is still inhale, then exhale. All our lives, God's been teaching us the respiratory cycle. We're born. He slaps us until we breathe. Listen to me. When we hear a plane overhead and I spread the quilt back over the mattress, I'm thinking we'll survive at least until bedtime tonight. We know turbulence, but no one taught our lungs to stop. So this is how we stay alive. We do what's natural. We affix each other's oxygen mask before our own. Our chests rise. So Dana Gioia, when he was arguing whether or not poetry could matter, said that at readings we should always read the work of someone else so that the audience is able to be introduced to another poet. And I was thinking I would read something from this book by Keith Leonard. Instead, I'm not going to, but I still wanted to hold it up so that you could see it. I'd really recommend it. It's a good one for now. But I thought I'd share a poem by Naomi Shihab Nye, who's a poet I've been coming to a lot during this pandemic season. Her poetry is often about gentleness and kindness. This one is called Shoulders. A man crosses the street in rain, stepping gently, looking 2 times north and south because his son is asleep on his shoulder. No car must splash him. No car drive too near to his shadow. The man carries the world's most sensitive cargo, but he's not marked. Nowhere does his jacket say, fragile, handle with care. His ear fills up with breathing. He hears the hum of a boy's dream deep inside him. We're not going to be able to live in this world if we're not willing to do what he's doing with one another. The road will only be wide. The rain will never stop falling. Conclude with a long poem / very short essay. It's in paragraph form and it's something that happened. It's appropriate to read now because it's called Election Night, Missouri, 2016. All day, rats had bolted through my body. I spilt my coffee. I couldn't hold a pen. To an old friend, a pre-Missouri one, I wrote, I wish we still lived in the same town so I could bump into you on the sidewalk and you would tell me everything will be okay. Come night, I drove toward Megan's to see the states light up blue and red, a results party. She lived in town. It was a major street, 5 lanes, but lampless in places, because the dark knows how to sneak its way in. Sudden as a snakebite, an outline popped in front of me, and then my headlights found him. He passed directly before my car, thumb out as if hitchhiking, but he rode a skateboard, across traffic, in the dark, in a black sweatshirt. I screamed, what the hell, and my brakes screamed it too, and he kept rolling into the center lane. Because I had stopped, the car behind me swerved left into that same center lane, and the kid, he couldn't have been more than 20 with that skateboard and that thumb, did not move quickly. Some events are too awful to actually happen, but then they happen as we watch. The other car torpedoed toward him, no way the driver could see, and the kid collapsed onto their hood, into their windshield, bounced off, and fell back into my lane, lying in front of my frozen high beams. They lit up his body, not dead, but convulsing. And then we all were shaking. Car stopped. I couldn't call 911. My phone wouldn't let me dial. I put the car in park, turned on my flashers to block his body from another car on this busy street. I ran to a van. Drivers braked, jumped from their cars, and someone raced to him. A nurse. Yes, a nurse who'd driven by. He kept seizing in front of my spotlight. She said, I'm a nurse. She said, don't move. He said, I'm fine. He kept seizing. I have been in crashes. I have cursed truck drivers who turned. I have wished suffering upon the descendants of certain skittering deer. But how could I feel anything for him then but sorry? He, under some kind of influence, twitching, not yet realizing what he'd done, saying, I can get up. The nurse saying, if you get up, you might die. Wait for the ambulance. Him on the effing pavement insisting, no, I won't die. I can walk home. The nurse, twice his age, holding him, arms around his torso, an embrace to pin him in place. She bent her face down and hovered there. At any moment she might kiss his sweaty forehead, read him a bedtime story. At any moment Michelangelo might chisel the two of them from marble and call it his Pietà. Stay, she said softly. And everyone kept breathing, waiting for the blue and red lights, begging in the quiet. Sacred are the moments when strangers share the same emotion. Yes, blessed be us fearful strangers that November night. Blessed be the nurse who knew, the nurse of long arms, the nurse of quivering hands, the nurse who just happened to drive by, who arrived before we realized how much we all would need her, the nurse who said, hold tight, who said, it may take some time, who said, but believe me, help is on the way. Thank you.